Today we're going to be talking about the writing process. There are several steps in the writing process, and we will go over each one of these in more detail. The first step is to generate ideas. Once you generate your ideas, you want to organize them in a way that you can start putting them into actual sentences. You want to make sure that you are considering your audience and your purpose. So, who are you writing for and why are you writing, aside from completing an assignment? You want to write a first draft. You want to revise that first draft, and then you want to do some proofreading before you submit your final draft. So, let's start at the beginning. When we're talking about generating ideas, there are three different ways we're going to talk about for how you can generate ideas. You will be expected to practice one of these, so make sure that you are paying attention. The first one, or the first way, is to do a free write. This is when you have a topic and you just write freely about it. Anything that pops into your head, you are writing about. That is a great way to start generating ideas for a bigger writing assignment. You can also just do some brainstorming, and this is more of a listing all of the ideas that come into your head about your topic. Branching is something else that you can do, and the illustration on this slide is showing you kind of what branching looks like. You write your topic in the middle, and then any idea that you have, you kind of write it around the circle, and then you connect the lines. This is great if you're a visual learner. This will definitely help you to see kind of what your ideas are. And then the last generating idea strategy is questioning. So just asking, like, who is this writing about? What is it about? When does it take place? Where is it taking place? Why am I writing this? And how am I going to get my point across to the reader? So those are ways of generating ideas. Come back to the slide when it is time for you to complete the generating ideas assignment. The next thing on your list is actually organizing those ideas. So if you have just a bunch of ideas written down on a piece of paper, you want to start putting those ideas together so that you can actually start writing something. One way specifically that we'll talk about is to create an outline. And if you can see here, with an outline, we start by discussing like our introduction, and then we go into kind of our body paragraphs, like what are the main ideas, and then we have a conclusion. This is another way to kind of lay out your ideas to get you started and pushing you towards writing an actual draft. You will not have to complete an outline this week, but it is something that is helpful, and you might want to try it out as you start writing. One of the biggest things that you're going to want to keep in mind as you start writing is your audience and your purpose. So the assignment that you have coming up, you're going to be writing a letter not addressed to me as your instructor, but a letter to a bigger audience. So as you start thinking about this, you want to ask yourself the following questions. Who will be reading what I write? How should I express myself so that my readers will understand what I write? How will the audience react to my writing? Think about how you want them to react. Do you want them to be happy, sad, surprised, angry? What does the audience already know about my topic? So if the audience already knows a bunch, you're going to change the way that you're writing. That leads to the last question. What does the audience need to learn about my topic? If there's a lot of new information that you need to present to them, you're going to be writing a different way. So those are things for you to keep in mind. The next thing is you want to think about your purpose. So why are you actually doing this writing? What do you want to achieve with this? What do you want your audience to feel? And then what do you want your audience to do? Do you want to persuade them to do something? Do you want to persuade them to stop doing something? To donate money? To visit a certain place? think about your actual purpose for writing. And once you've done those things, you are finally able to write a draft. So when you're writing your draft, it says after you've thought carefully about your ideas, write one sentence that expresses the main point of your paragraph. So essentially, you're writing a topic sentence. Write a topic sentence for each main idea that you have, and then move on to explaining each topic sentence. So, what details do you need to add to support each topic sentence? Some other things to keep in mind: your first draft of a writing assignment won't always be good, and that's okay. I'm not expecting any draft to be a finished product. A lot of times in writing, we talk about the SFD, and excuse my language, but that stands for the shitty first draft. We all write them. We all write a first draft, and we're like, this isn't really that great. That is okay. Don't beat yourself up over it. Also, as your draft develops, feel free to change your focus. If you're writing something and you're like, I don't really like how this is going, change it. Because if you're not happy with it, 9 times out of 10 that it's not going to be that great of a writing piece. So a draft is kind of your play area. You can change it, you can add to it, you can delete. It's totally up to you. After you have a draft that you're somewhat okay with, then you're going to start the revising. I always suggest that after someone writes a draft, and I do this myself with my writing, you walk away from it either for a couple hours or maybe a whole day if you have the time, and then come back to it and look at it. You will inevitably see some things that you need to change. So this is when you reread your draft and you make it better. You can reread each sentence to make sure that it's clear. Make sure your writing has a beginning and an end. Replace words that are vague or unclear. And also seek advice. This might be the time where you say to your friend, hey, can you read this and let me know what you think? Or a parent or a grandparent or an aunt or uncle. We will also be participating in peer review, so you'll get some chances to get feedback from your classmates on your writing and how you can improve it. And then the last step is to proofread. So this is the final reading of your paper. In this step, you are going to be looking for run-on or fragment sentences, looking at grammar, spelling, punctuation, and capitalization. I cannot stress to you how important this step is. A lot of people think just because they're typing it on a computer, and a lot of times computer programs can catch words that are spelled wrong, that everything in their paper is correct. But I see lots of typos, lots of capitalization errors all the time. So it is important to proofread your paper and make sure that those things are all correct before you turn it in. I want you also to think about this writing process not as something that always goes step by step, but kind of like a process that you can flow in and out of. So maybe you brainstorm for a little bit, you write some of your draft, you don't like it, you revise it, and then you go back and brainstorm some more ideas. Writers go in and out of all the steps of the writing process all the time. It's not something that has to be completed in order. In fact, good writers don't complete it in order. It's just a framework that you kind of use to create good pieces of writing. So what exactly is good writing? Well, good writing requires thinking. You've been doing a lot of reading, and you've been thinking about that, but now it's time to start thinking about your writing. Good writing involves revision. It expresses ideas clearly. It is directed towards an audience and achieves a purpose. And it requires using 3 basic building blocks: sentences, paragraphs, and then putting all those together in an essay or a final writing piece. For this assignment, it's going to be a letter. The writing process is also similar to the reading process. If you see here, like when you're reading, you preview to get an overview. In writing, you're generating ideas. You're considering your audience and purpose. In reading, you're reading to understand ideas. In writing, you're writing a draft to express your ideas. In reading, you review what you read by paraphrasing to express ideas in your own words, or writing a summary or answering comprehension questions. In writing, you're revising and you're rethinking your ideas to make your writing more clear. In reading, after you're finished, you're using those strategies to help retain information. And in writing, you're proofreading, you're fixing things to make sure that it is appropriate for someone else to read. So these processes, reading and writing, kind of go hand in hand. And most people who are good writers also read a lot, and they use that reading to sort of guide them as they are completing their own writing. As always, email me with any questions that you might have regarding this content.